Hello friends, I'm Brian, and this is Gizmo Board Games. And we've made it to March of 2025, which means it's time for my look back video of what I did last month. That is, the videos I released and the games I played, to include counting down my favorite new to me plays from the month, like I do at the beginning of every other month. So, what happened last month? Well, I released 5 videos. I always start with the videos. In case you missed them, you can go check them out. I'm not sure how you would have missed these videos. These are the ones that actually hit the algorithm, so they should have been easier to find, especially if you're a subscriber. Subscribe below. But anyway, the 5 videos I put out last month, 3 of them were my top 50 favorite games of all time as of this year, starting with my first video, 50 to 31. Then I did a 31 to 10 video, or 30 to 11 video. And then finally, most recently, my top 10 favorite games of all time that just came out on the anniversary of my YouTube channel here. Also during the month, I did, of course, the look back video at January to start the month. And then just a week ago, I did a review of Hamster Roll, a little family game that 25th Century Games, I didn't mention this in the video, I don't know why, but 25th Century Games is releasing this in the United States, or they just released it, or something about that. So if you want to get your hands on that game, it should be more readily available here in the United States. Alright, finally, let's talk about my games. What games did I play last month, February 2025? Well, I played 30 times in the month, but those numbers are going to be quite skewed by one game. I did play 13 different games in the month, and one of those games I played 13 times, that being The Crew. It's just a quick trick-taking game, and if you count every hand as a game, it adds up quickly. And then finally, most of the reason for the video is the top 6 favorite new-to-me games that I played, starting with the ones that didn't hit as well as I had hoped, all the way down to the one I enjoyed the most in the month. So, my number 6 favorite new-to-me game from last month is actually my daughter's game. We got it to the table as a family. It's Taco, Cat, Goat, Cheese, Pizza. It's a little party card game where you're naming those items out, taco, cat, goat, cheese, pizza, in that order over and over again as you play one card from your deck, kind of war style. You don't see what's in your deck. And then if it's that named card, you slap it, and whoever is the last one to get their hands on it takes the whole pile into their deck. And your object is to just run out of cards. There's a few other random cards that make you do random things before you slap them, no matter when they come out, such as a gorilla or a gopher, I believe. It's a neat little fun family party style game. Plays pretty quick and easy. Not necessarily my kind of game, like no strategy in it at all, but it is a fun way to kill some time playing a quick and easy game. My number 5 favorite new to me game from February of 2025 is going to be Tiny Epic Game of Thrones. This is a game that was high on my anticipated list. I got my hands on it late December, early January, and was able to play a solo game of this. I really like Game of Thrones. I've watched the whole series. I've read the books up to their existence. So it's a lot of fun. And in this game, basically, you've got a little hand of cards and some dice that are being rolled, and you're taking actions from the dice, and you can trigger a secondary action too based on, where you're placing it on the board. At least in the solo mode. I don't recall the differences for the not solo mode. And I enjoyed the game. You're going around, you're Game of Thronesing, you're making alliances with some house families and using them to empower your armies. And you're going around to try to take over the different areas on the board. It's an area control war style game. The one thing I didn't like about the solo mode that I'm sure will change when I'm playing against real players is, because you're playing against dice rolls, sometimes those don't do things that make logical sense, and a couple bad rolls in a row gave me a lot of power on the board, just because my opponent wasn't doing anything helpful, really, for their game, and I was able to just kind of steamroll them to the point where I was a runaway leader against, the dice. And I don't think that would happen in a multiplayer game, because your opponent's not going to sit back and just let you take over the board. At least hopefully they don't. So once I play this with real people, it'll go up the rankings. But as a solo game, it's my 5th favorite thing I played last month. My 4th favorite play from last month is a game I played on Board Game Arena. I'm trying to get playing that more, as my ability to get my hands on actual physical copies not as great as it used to be, and I just don't have the space, so I don't really want to take on as many games as I had been in the past. I got to be a little more picky, which means I'm trying to branch out to Board Game Arena, where I can play more games more readily. And my number 4 game is The Bloody Inn, a game I've heard about for quite a while. People enjoy, or they don't. Maybe the theme doesn't get them. But what you're doing is you're placing out guests in an inn, and then you can kind of recruit them into your hand to help you do things that you're going to want to do, such as build places to hide bodies, kill other guests, and then bury them in those places. All trying to score points, all without getting caught by the police, who you can also actually kind of bribe and recruit as well. So it's an interesting concept of a game. It took me a little while to grasp the strategy behind it. I didn't score well in my first game, and my second game I had one of my friends, Allie at Family Meeple, kind of talk me through it. It's one of her favorite games, and we played together, and I kind of grasped what the concept was a little bit better. I still don't know that I love the game overall, but it was a fun, and it doesn't play that too long, so relatively enjoyable, filling in the kind of middle of my new to me plays from last month. My number 3 favorite new to me game from last month is a Stefan Feld Cities game that I had on my shelf for a little bit. One of the newer ones, though, it is Nassau, which is a bit of a reimplementation of Rum and Pirates, except it adds a whole another sailing board. So it basically doubled the game, is my understanding, from what Rum and Pirates was. I haven't played that one yet. But in this game, basically, you're placing your pirates out on the board to collect the things you're going to want to use for the sailing phase. And then in the sailing phase, you're taking turns going around and fighting enemies, whether they're, Kraken in the ocean or other ships, or you're just staking claims to various towers, or you're getting new ports that you can control. And at those ports, you can start, maybe a little bit ahead in future rounds if you start at those ports for your later rounds around Nassau. And it's all in an effort, as any Stefan Feld game is to collect points. Everything you do is going to help you get points in some way. And the more you kind of singularly focus a certain thing, the more points you're going to get from that thing. Because at the end of the game, in-game scoring is kind of a compilation, a multiplier of whatever your most of everything was by the number of times you did that specific thing. So like for me, I focused on just collecting goods. And so I was putting goods in my kind of hideaway. And then I scored a lot of points from that. Where my buddy, he collected enemies and he scored well for just beating up everything on the board. So it's nice little, you've got multiple options of routes to succeed in. And you really got to manage the first phase of collecting everything you're going to want and need for the second phase. I enjoyed it. Not as heavy as a lot of stuff on Feld's other games either, so that helped out to get it to the table and probably get it back more repeatedly than some of the other ones, because not a whole lot going on, but a lot of thinkiness all the same. My number 2 favorite new-to-me game from last month is another Board Game Arena game I played with a group of people from a Discord I hang out in, and that is Let's Go to Japan. And this is a card drafting game. Basically, every round you're drafting either one of 2 cards or 2 of 4 cards to make your trip to Japan over the course of a bunch of rounds, 7, 8, 9, 12, something rounds. Of doing that and building out your tableau. And basically you've got a Monday through Saturday event or a week of planning to do, and they've each got their own special, whether maybe on Tuesdays you want to do food things, and on Thursday you want to do temple actions. So you're trying to match up the icons on the days to make that day a better planned day. But you don't necessarily need to do that, because whatever card is on the bottom, and you're going to have three actions per day, and whichever one is at the bottom, you're actually going to have a subsequent way to make your trip better by collecting whatever led up to that. So, you're going to play off the icons that way and try to score even more points. And it's really a game where you're just building up the tableau to try to make a good trip to Japan by making icons kind of line up in the way you want. A bit of an engine of a trip planning. It was a neat, fun little game. I really enjoyed kind of mathing it out, and it was really simplistic because you're just choosing one card out of two or two cards out of four. And there are a couple other options. You can, take a walk instead, in which case you're going to discard a card and then just take a random card and put it on the walk. And you're managing whether you're going around Kyoto or Tokyo. And so you got pink cards and blue cards. And every time you basically go back and forth in the color of where your activities are, you're going to have to get there through a train. And if you have to use trains too many times, you're going to lose points from all the travel. Neat little concept. I really enjoyed it. It's one I really probably would like to play, hands-on, but playing it on Board Game Arena, I really got the feel of it and really enjoyed playing it. So Let's Go to Japan, a game I've heard a lot about recently, so I'm not the only one who's given it praise. And then finally, my number one favorite new-to-me game from last month is a game that was on my most anticipated games list of last year, and this is House of Fado. New Vital Lacerda game, kind of a simple down, from what I understand, kind of following the concepts of the Gallerist, but with a different theme of Fado players at restaurants. And basically you're just going around the board taking worker placement actions with a bumping mechanism, because if you place your worker where another worker is, that worker is going to get bumped to one of three alternate spots on that location, in which case they're going to collect some good. And you're really managing putting your workers out to A, take the action that you want them to, and B, put them in a position where they're going to get bumped into something that you want as well. But you're just going around and collecting the Fado singers. You're paying for their services in your restaurant, and you're trying to entice guests to come into your restaurant because they're going to pay you, obviously, when they eat. And they're also going to applaud your Fado players and increase their level as well when they're in there. So that way you're trying to level up basically your Fado players and then use them to score you points. And you're trying to use your guests to do that and get you income for the next round. And there are no set rounds. You can decide when your round ends basically by bringing one of your workers back to your board and performing, your restaurant activities. And then it kind of resets that board and all those guests and things. And then there are critics too, which are going to help you do other things because they're increasing your restaurant's prestige. So neat little game. I really enjoyed the worker placement aspect of it. A lot simpler than a lot of the Vital Lacerda games, so makes it more readily available to more gamers, I think. And I really enjoyed playing this one, and that's why it's my number one from last month. So there you have it. That's my list. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up, subscribe below if you haven't already, and comment below what you've been playing lately and what you think of these games. Maybe I got things out of order compared to what you would do with the same 6 games. I don't know. Let me know in the comments below. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye.